The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you're encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. And boy, oh boy, on today's topic, there are a myriad of comments that have already been posted. Some of them attacking me. I feel I'm so thin-skinned. It's bothering me so much. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that after we talk to our first guest. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show. Well, we have two topics today on News Talk Online on Paltalk.com. In a moment, we will be talking about President Bush's questionable interrogation practices. But first, today is Earth Day, and joining us to talk about ways we can improve the environment is Sean Miller, Director of Education at Earth Day Network. Sean Miller, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you with us, Sean. And how long has Earth Day been an official, well, it's not actually technically a holiday, but a recognizable day on the calendar?
It's actually a secular holiday that started back in April 22nd, 1970, was the first Earth Day, where over 20 million people came out across the globe to finally take action on the environment, and that was the first step back then. It's now moved over 39 years of growth, where we're celebrating the 39th anniversary this year, and the 40th will be 2010, and it's part of a launch of what we're doing here at Earth Day Network called the Green Generation, where anyone can be involved in the environmental movement, and as you become involved, we want to know about it and link you with other people to join that effort.
Well, you know, a lot has happened since then. We really didn't know what that was all about back in 1970, those of us who are old enough to remember that, or not too old that we have forgotten. And I remember that was the day that I went out to Hines Park in Wayne County, Michigan, and I planted a tree along with my girlfriend at the time, in recognition of Earth Day. And since then, we have learned a lot about what we can and what we cannot do to improve this environment and perhaps leave Mother Earth a little bit better off for those who follow us, and it is today. But because of all the damage we've done to the environment and to the Earth, we probably have a lot of work still ahead of us, Sean.
We definitely do, and in fact, the current generation is the first generation that has left the planet more or less in a state worse than it was inherited by themselves. So we're leaving our children here with a myriad of problems, like you were getting at earlier in the broadcast, and we've got to come up with creative solutions to address and finally solve them. So one of the ways that we've taken the original message of Earth Day, which is a national teach-in on the environment to get people educated on the environment, is incorporating it into work in schools, meaning helping schools go green so that we bring the education process into the 21st century so it can deal with 21st century issues and problems and ultimately solve some of these issues coming down the pike.
Some of the biggest corporations are really taking the lead. Google, for example, has an energy czar, I guess is what they call him, who does nothing but find ways to reduce the consumption of energy. And as you can imagine, as huge as Google is, they have many, many servers out there. But what can we do to reduce the consumption of energy and help the environment on an individual basis?
Sure. Individual actions do matter, and they do add up, and something that you can do very simply is look at the energy that's involved in your home. That could be anything from the insulation. Did you feel a draft in the winter coming from a door or window? If you did, then that window or door probably needs to be insulated. If your home is properly insulated, you can save about 20% on your energy costs. Now, that's on average, and we've also heard about other measures that most of us know now about changing your light bulbs, and that can save up to 10% on costs. But something I always like to tell people when I'm asked this question is, how can we really understand nature? And the best way that we can do that is just simply go outside. You know, you brought up your tree planting back in 1970, and you still remember that. Well, we want people today to go outside and do actions like tree plantings or cleaning up their local communities or meeting with other individuals in their community to identify what can we do to help the environment, or you can simply just go outside and enjoy the beauty and wonder of nature.
You know, somebody who's very active in this issue was telling me that he was doing some research and he learned of a thing called rain gardens. Are you familiar with this? That if you live near waterways, tributaries, or lakes, or oceans, or bays, and the groundwater, when it rains, it drains into the waterway, and it picks up the oils off of the street that the cars leave behind. Well, apparently these very beautiful plants, they call them rain gardens, he says. You plant these plants strategically, and the plants actually suck up the oils that the vehicles leave behind and thrive on it. Have you heard of that?
Yes, this is something that's being practiced as an innovative solution in several areas of the country as a trial run. One would be Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where an individual named George Carter has been literally greening the infrastructure of the city because that area of the country is connected to the Chesapeake Bay watershed, as I am here in Washington, D.C. And when it rains here, the waters, if you look at it from a satellite map image, actually turn from bluish to orangish because of all the sediment runoff, and then you get into what you were saying with all the pollution runoff. So there's several things that an individual can do with this, and there's two main areas that I'd like to articulate. One, you can do rain barrels and rain gardens like you were saying, where you strategically plant plants and barrels that just capture water off your home or off your pavement of your garage or your driveway, and that water can be reused in your garden or reused to hold and filter, as well as the other thing that you can do other than strategically planting plants and using the rain barrels is a green roof. And it's the same idea. Think about all the blacktop that's around on our roofs that we don't normally see, but creates a portion of this runoff. By putting plants on your roof or literally creating a green roof, you can help mitigate the stormwater runoff that you are so describing.
Much of the problem, though, with pollution coming from the farming in our country these days. You talk about the Chesapeake Bay, the Susquehanna River dumps into the bay, and I use the term dump very literally because the Susquehanna is the most polluted tributary, they say, in the United States because of the runoff from the fertilizer and the excrement from the farm animals along the farmland. What can be done to resolve that issue?
Yeah, in terms of actual carbon emissions, what you're describing accounts for about 18 to 19% of global carbon emissions. So food is a direct result of climate change, and we